In this lesson, we're going to continue our perspective unit. And today I'd like to talk about putting a cylinder in perspective and also talking about the ellipse, which would be the top or the bottom of your can. Okay, and today we're just going to deal with 1-point perspective and the cylinder. The first thing I want to go over are our ellipses. Now, we had a little experience doing this with our mass drawing, and when we had to draw those dark colored objects. Some of them were vases, some of them were bottles or cups. And if you remember, when we drew our ellipse, when we had difficulty getting the curve right, we incorporated it into a rectangle. All right, I just want to go over this. And the reason that we did this was to get the symmetry correct. So I'm just trying to refresh your mind right now. So we enclosed it in a box, and then we divided that box both horizontally and vertically halfway. And what we realized is that we could estimate the curve by looking at each of the quadrants to get our ellipse the right proportion and the right curve, okay? So just keep that in mind when we're going to talk about the cylinder, all right? And in this video, I'd like you to follow along. So pause it when you need to pause it. All right, so the cylinder is going to be in 1-point perspective, okay? Which means we're going to deal with it just straight up and down like this. It would get into 2-point perspective if I turned it sideways and put it at an angle. It would get a little more complex because it'd have to go into a box. Okay, but today we're just dealing with a straight upright can. All right, you can take a can out of your cupboard and put it on the table to help you understand this process. All right, so we need our horizon line. Our horizon line is going to be toward the top of our sheet, okay, about 3 inches down. And we need our station point, which is going to come straight down the middle of our 18 by 24 sheet. Okay, so add those in. Now, I'm going to start building the cylinder. All right, I'm going to start down about here, and my line is going to be 6 inches. Okay, you make your 6 inches. And what we're going to find is that this intersection between the horizon line and the station point is going to be our vanishing point, just like what occurred in our 1-point perspective lesson. Okay, so that's our vanishing point. So now I'm going to take each side of this line up to the vanishing point. It's going to form a triangle. Okay. This is going to be the front edge of our ellipse. Okay. Now, I know that I'm below the horizon line, so I'm going to see a significant portion of the top of the can. All right? So I'm going to make an estimation about that. All right? So now you can see this top plane in perspective. All right? Now, one thing that's different with the cylinder is I'm going to find the center of the top of the can. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to cross 2 diagonal lines. I'm going to go from this corner to the back corner, front corner to the back corner. And you're doing this in pencil, I'm doing it in marker so you can see it, okay? And that forms an X. This point here is the center of our circle that's on the top of our can, okay? All right? But this is a quandary. When we do our ellipse, we know that this lower half is equal to the upper half, right? And that is still going to be the case when we're going to draw the top of this can, okay? So now we're going to find where this line is, right here, on the top. And what we know is that this is half and half, okay? So let's find halfway between here and here, all right? And it's 2 inches, the top of this, so 1 inch will be halfway, okay? And that's called the chord. Let me do this in a different color. So I'm going to make a line across at that halfway point. I'm going to make a dotted line so it looks different in the video. Okay? And that's called my chord or my major axis. Okay? This is the major axis. Okay? All right. So we need that in order to draw our ellipse correctly. So let's draw our ellipse here. I'll do it in pencil first, make sure I get it in a right shape. So that halfway is still the same spot. And don't make your ellipse too pointy at the ends, okay? So what you're going to see, we'll do this in green. This is our furthest point out of our ellipse, just like it was here. I'm talking about this spot right here. Okay? I'm going to draw that in. Okay. A little more width there. Okay. So what occurs here is still valid here. Okay? But we need that center point because let's say we have a clock face that is laying down on the ground. We need to know where that central point is on the face of that clock. Okay, and this is the way you find that out. But the way you draw the outside ellipse is this way. Okay? So let's go on to our next step. We are going to make the sides of our cylinder. There's no foreshortening in these. Okay? And I'm going to make mine 6 inches long. Okay? Make yours 6 inches long. And make sure that it is parallel to our station point. Okay? Parallel to the station point. Oops, 6 inches I needed. Okay, so 6 inches down. Okay? And then we're going to go across. Again, I'm going to do that in the blue because this is our major axis again. Okay, same as up here. All right? Okay, now I want to put that line in perspective. It's going to have the same vanishing point as the upper ellipse. Okay, so let's do that. So up to our vanishing point, to the corner of that chord. Okay. And just go past that side edge of your cylinder. Okay. Now we know the chord is halfway, right? We also know that because this ellipse is on the bottom of the can, we're going to see more of it than on the top. All right? So I'm just going to estimate. I'm going to say, I know that there's this much at the top. All right? And I know that it has to be larger than that at the bottom because I am looking more down on this circle. Okay? So once I do that, I'm going to go parallel to the chord, straight across. All right, and this is going to be the front edge of my circle on the base. Okay? All right. So we know that's halfway. All right. Okay. I want to see where my center of my circle is. Okay, I've made it too similar. Okay. So what I'm going to do, this is how you check yourself. I know that the chord is lower than the diameter, correct? So if I say this is where my chord is, I know my diameter has to be here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this end through this point of the diameter. And this is how large the base should be. So I'm going to go across the back, which is parallel again to my chord. Okay? So this pink is actually correct, and this green one is not correct. Okay? So I'm going to now check again. Yes. Okay? So this is halfway to here, and then the other half here. Okay? So I knew I had a mistake that I made, and now I've corrected that mistake. Now I can lay in my lower circle. Okay? So it's going to, the ends are going to be at the chord down to these. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to draw this in green so you can see what I just did. Okay, so that's the bottom of our cylinder. Okay. All right. And then the way I want you to finish up this exercise is to reinforce that feeling of the cylinder, okay? So I'm doing this in blue right now. This is my front edge, my top, okay? My sides. And then down at the bottom, I'm only going to do this front edge so that you really get the feeling of the cylinder. Because if I can see the back edge, it's a clear cylinder. And right now I want to create a feeling of a solid cylinder. Okay? So to be a little easier for you, you're going to do it in 2H pencil. And then when you're done and you feel confident about your cylinder, you're going to take a marker or a colored pencil. You're going to trace over your top ellipse, come down your sides and only do this, trace this front part of your cylinder, and it'll give you a three-dimensional feel.